What's up, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets, Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez, and today we got to talk about what happened last night on Thursday Night Football as the Jets fall to the New England Patriots 27-14 on Thursday Night Football. They now fall to 2-8 on the season, and we got to talk about it, right? First, I do want to remind you guys, please like these videos, watch these videos, subscribe to the Jets Latest channel, and tell a Jets fan friend, if there's any still out there, to tell a Jets fan friend, if there's any still out there, right? And remember, you can also click on that join button, become a Jets Latest insider, and get all sorts of exclusive content, other perks as we continue through this 2025 season for the green and white, which could result in a top 5 draft pick if that is your silver lining. But let's get into it here. I thought the biggest thing actually was on the defensive side of the ball, right? It didn't look that bad last week having traded Sauce Gardner, having traded Quinnen Williams, but that was different when they step up in class and face a New England's Patriots offense led by Drake May. I talked about it earlier in the week. Drake May, performing at an MVP level, had put up gaudy stats. One of them was that he was second in the NFL in terms of completion percentage, and he beat that tonight. I mean, he was connecting left and right with his wide receivers, with his backs, with his tight ends. Hunter Henry had a big night, and Brandon Stevens and Jarvis Brownlee really struggled in coverage on Thursday night. They had been playing better recently. Remember, we were talking about their PFF grades, their coverage grades over the last month. That was not the case on Thursday night. Drake May started 9 for 9. He went 14 of 16 for 140 yards in the first half. He finished the game 25 of 34, 281 yards, and a touchdown. He completed over 73% of his passes, even better than the 71% he had during the season that was second best in the NFL. Stevens and Brownlee also, they made bad plays. There was a number of penalties against them. Brownlee on a third down conversion didn't even touch Pop Douglas, who then got up and ran for another couple of yards. And also, the rest of the secondary didn't play good really either. Adams and Stiggers, I mean, May threw up a ball late in the first half that should have been picked off, and they couldn't convert it. And remember, the Jets still now, through 10 games of the season, do not have an interception. The Jets, through 10 games this season, only have one takeaway. That is literally the fewest in NFL history, okay? So, at some point, you got to think like this is regression theory. It's got to happen, right? But that turnovers didn't come, and they couldn't stop Drake May at all. And they got even thinner. Quantez Stiggers went out, got banged up. We know AZ Thomas is still not back yet. So I think that what looked like a bright spot with the kind of emergence of Stevens and Brownlee, now I call into question a couple things. One, did we really need Brownlee to kind of stay in the slot? He looked good in the slot the last couple of weeks, right? Is part of this because Sauce Gardner was there helping everybody else look better in coverage, right? We also don't have Michael Carter anymore. So that is a little bit interesting. I wonder if it was fool's gold a little bit, seeing kind of the ascension and the coverage of Stevens and of Brownlee. So that's another thing that I definitely want to talk about, that I definitely want to see. I definitely want to see what Steve Wilkes and others have to say about that going into the next game for the Jets. On the offensive side, people are going to talk about, oh, the passing game was still putrid. Oh, we didn't look good. I will say this. On the opening drive of the game, it looked really good. It looked like the same brand of football. These are the types, every now and then we have these drives that look like we are enforcing our will on our opponent. And that happened in the opening drive against New England, okay? We scored 14 play drive, 11 runs, 5 times by Fields. Only 3 passes, and one of them was like a trick play, like a Williams back to Fields kind of thing. They converted all 4 of their third downs. They didn't draw a penalty on offense, and they took up over 8 minutes of time of possession. Okay, like that's what it's supposed to look like. If they could play good defense, get some turnovers, which they haven't been able to, leverage their special teams weapons. We've been talking about that on Jets Latest. We'll continue to talk about that later. Then actually use this run game that has been effective, that can be effective. That's what it's supposed to look like. Remember that first drive against Miami back on Monday Night Football, and then the Braylon Allen fumble at the 1-yard line. This drive really did remind me of that. But then outside of that, they didn't really do much. Outside of that first drive, Justin Fields had 7 passing yards outside of that first drive. He finished with 116 passing yards. That was, kind of, I was going to say he's been held to under 100 for 5 of the 9 games, but he got to 116. So he's been under that or lower in 5 of the 9 games this year. I would also say this. We were talking about kind of these other wide receivers. Mechie had a decent game, caught the touchdown pass. Adonai Mitchell, I think, still needs time to build chemistry with Justin Fields. Mitchell dropped, not one, not two, but I can think of 3. A deep one down the left sideline, one where Justin Fields kind of threw it to the outside and Mitchell turned around, another over the middle that could have been a conversion. So Mitchell dropped a few balls that really could have helped Justin Fields and the passing game. But again, the run game looked okay. Remember earlier in the week, I was telling you the Patriots had the #1 run defense in the entire NFL. The entire NFL. The Patriots gave up only 79 yards per game on the ground. The Jets ran for about 60 in the first half. Looked good. The Jets ran for 140 yards in this game as a team against the best run defense in the NFL. Breece Hall ran for 58 yards against New England. That doesn't sound like much, but guess what? That is the most of any running back against New England all season. So, it can happen. The catch is, and I've been saying this all along here on Jets Latest, all season, there's just no margin for error. If you turn the ball over, it doesn't work. If you get to in 3rd and long or these obvious pass situations, whether it's within the drive, not being on schedule on 1st and 2nd down, and then being in 3rd and 9, it doesn't work. If you get down by 2 scores, it doesn't work. And Herb Street on the telecast said the same thing. He talked about success rate on 1st and 2nd down, like I've been saying here on Jets Latest. He talked about the obvious passing situations, like I've been saying here on Jets Latest. Like, this could work, but there is really no room for error. Even Al Michaels was saying it, that this team is built, how they are equipped, right? That they are built to win the games by running the ball, playing good defense, field position, time of possession, special teams. And we saw that those elements could be in play, but as soon as the Jets fall behind, it really puts them at a disadvantage, at least with this current skill group, this current quarterback play. So that continues to be something to look for on the offensive side. Can they enforce their will? Yes, even against the best run defense in the NFL, but they have to be consistent, successful in early downs to keep themselves in 3rd and manageable. The last thing I want to talk about here, once again, we talk about the special teams a lot, right? Maybe because there's not much else to talk about with the 2-8 Jets. Last week, it was the kickoff return and the punt return for a touchdown, right? We've talked about how Nick Folk has been perfect all season long, but one of the things we continue to talk about here is our punter, Austin McNamara, that continues to truly punt at a Pro Bowl, if not all pro level. He punted 5 times on Thursday Night Football, averaged over 45 yards per punt, and did not allow any, zip zilch return yards in the punt game all game against the New England Patriots. Okay, there you see it. There were 4 fair catches, 2 of them pinned inside the 20, and then he booms 164 yards that kept on bouncing, looked like it was going to go out of bounds, like at the 1 or 2 yard line, and just trickled in for a touchback. McNamara now on the season has 17 punts that have resulted in a fair catch. That is tied for the most in the NFL. We've talked about his hang time, which leads the league in the NFL. This just speaks to, again, the field position battle. The Jets are equipped to win this in their return game and with their, in my opinion, Pro Bowl punter, right? They have a run game. We've seen flashes of the defense. So the vision is there. The model can work, but it did not work against Drake May and the New England Patriots. Patriots win 27-14, and the Jets fall to 2-8. I think there's still going to be questions about Justin Fields in the next week and a half because we want to see Adonai Mitchell, Mechie. We didn't see any of Arian Smith today. Mason Taylor did get some grabs, but I do think the conversation is going to continue around Justin Fields, who was good with his legs. He did run the ball well, did scramble the ball well, scramble well out of the pocket, but it's still this passing game just looks completely inept. They average 142 yards per game, the Jets. That is the worst in the NFL by far, and they went below that this week against the New England Patriots. So that is going to be all the talk you're going to hear in the news, on social media, is about this passing game. And I'm about Justin Fields, unfortunately for him. Let's see what y'all have to say, though. Jets latest regulars here. And a lot of these comments were in previous videos before the Patriots games, but Ron P. 5022 says, good reporting, Dane. Thanks. Also, we have too many holes to package our number one picks to move up. I agree with that. You know, I don't think they're going to necessarily move up. I think they're going to try and build out this roster and then maybe drop the quarterback in, not in 2026, but in 2027. You heard Herb Street talk about that on the telecast as well. You know, maybe get some kind of veteran bridge that can keep everything looking competent. For next year, but we'll see about that. Tubby G217 agrees, actually says they are building the Iron Man suit first and will look for their Tony Stark later. Interesting analogy. I like that, Tubby G. Jersey for Hawks says the Bengals had Austin McNamara first, but waived him. Amazing. Absolutely. I mean, McNamara might be our best player this season, right? It may be our only Pro Bowler this season. So we keep an eye out on that. I agree. And then old Dave 1000, a true Jets latest regular, says support from California. Go Jets. I know old Dave is always going to be here. I know old Dave is going to stay firm, is going to stay as a believer in the Jets. It's a long-term kind of rebuild. We shall see. I know he's old, but he sees and knows that the Jets are maybe doing it the right way, but they fall short again. That'll do it for this episode of Jets Latest. Remember, if you want more from me, the spitting statistician Dane Martinez, remember, I am the host of the FTN Fantasy Show over on SiriusXM, the Fantasy Channel, Channel 87. If your fantasy team is doing better than the Jets and maybe making the playoffs, maybe you need to talk to me about that as well, all right? It does not get easier. We have a long week, right? We got 10 days after the Thursday night football game, but up next for the Jets is a date at the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson back in tow. So we will see what happens, but there's going to be a lot of time between now and then to talk about it. It doesn't get any easier at Baltimore, a team that is on the come right now ever since Lamar has been back. I do think the unfortunate talk is going to be mostly about the Jets passing game, but honestly, the Jets pass defense didn't look too good last night either. They could not stop Drake May. One thing I do know, though, is we will be here to talk about it. Hopefully you will be here to kind of listen and watch. I appreciate everybody that has helped me grow this channel. And remember, subscribe to the channel, become a Jets Latest insider, like these videos, engage in the comments. I like to put some of them on the show, and tell a Jets fan friend to tell a Jets fan friend. But for now, for this episode of Jets Latest, we out of here. Peace.